What was basic training like?
Well, it was a little bit different for me as opposed to I was an officer and an officer in training, so that was, I was a cadet, as it were, in college. So my basic experience was an ROTC basic course, which was a little bit modified from what a regular enlistee would do. But my first indoctrination with the military was down at Fort Knox, where they keep the gold reserves, right, in Fort Knox. So Fort Knox is the home of the armor. So that's where all the tank brigades and tank divisions come from, and they also ran a lot of basic training for enlistees and for ROTC cadets. So I went down for I think it was 8 weeks. It was either 6 or 8 weeks. Maybe it was 6 weeks of an indoctrination program where they taught you everything that basic recruits did. We had drill instructors, drill sergeants, 2 drill sergeants, and and it was trying physically, emotionally. It wasn't anything that I couldn't handle. I felt like I actually did very well with it, and it wasn't a problem for me. But it was definitely a challenging experience at times, and I came out of it definitely a lot more physically fit. I came out of it also understanding exactly what the military was all about, and I felt like I got a good introduction to to what the life in the Army would be like. So at that time, the interesting thing though for us was that we weren't officially committed yet. We hadn't signed any contract or anything, so there were people that literally would drop out of basic camp, whereas when you enlist, you've already signed on, you can't drop out, so those people, so it was a little different than what a basic private would go through. But it was interesting. We did a lot of work on the firing range, and we really got to be very good marksmen. And we did a lot of basic infantry training, and a lot of physical fitness stuff, a lot of drill and ceremony, a lot of the tedious stuff about keeping your uniform in a certain way and keeping your barracks a certain way, and all of that. And there were times where I found myself manipulated by the process, and there were 2 drill instructors, and one of them I wanted to kill the guy after 3 weeks, and the other guy was like a father figure. The other guy was great, and then halfway through they switched roles, and then the guy I wanted to kill became the father figure, and then the other guy became the hard ass, as it were. So it was by midway through I sort of saw what was going on. It's like, oh boy, this is pretty manipulative, but it's sort of how the military basic training works. They break you down, and then they build you up as a unit. They build you up to understand that you can accomplish more with your friends than you can by yourself. And so it was a good experience, I think. And then but I also had a basic. That was the basic camp, and then I had advanced ROTC camp, and that was a whole nother 8 weeks the next summer. So I did 2 consecutive summers of very long training stints. So the second one was at Fort Bragg, and that was a little bit more like officer training, where you got introduced to all the various branches and of the Army, and you figured out, because they were trying to kind of sell us on what we were going to do in the Army. Because when you join the Army, there's a lot of branches within it, right? Mm-hmm. So there's all different types of jobs you can do, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I mean, I knew I didn't want to be an infantryman, and I didn't want to be on the front line, and that wasn't me. I was basically destined to teach music, so I knew that that stuff wasn't gonna be my thing. But it was I learned a lot about leadership, and I excelled in leadership roles, so I sort of learned that about myself, and I had very high ratings and marks coming out of that, and they actually offered me full scholarship and everything else because I did so well, which I didn't need to take because I had money from my music scholarship, so I didn't have to do that. But I ended up doing really, really well, and when I went back to URI as a senior cadet, I was the battalion commander of all the cadets, because of how well I did at camp and how well I'd done up to that point. So it was that was gratifying and satisfying, I should say. Learning that I did have a lot of leadership, And you know, in my job, I have leadership responsibilities in my teaching job. So, you know, so it has helped me. I think
It's
in
carried
my
over.
career. Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely carried over.